Hey there, hi there, ho there. Welcome once again to Disney Compendium, volume 16, right? I'm right. It's 16.
Sounds
It's a
right.
uh Sleeping Beauty, 1959. I am JJ, your host, and over there, my accomplice in crime, one of the fairy godmothers of this podcast,
Oh
Nick. How you
gosh.
doing?
I, I feel like I'd be the Merryweather of this podcast. Oh, JJ.
I don't know which one I would be. I don't think I played particularly good flora or fauna in this one, but I think we're
Boy.
both Merryweather.
I think we're both Merryweather.
Yeah, but
Even yeah,
yeah, but okay, yeah, Sleeping Beauty. Uh,
it's the movie.
it's certainly Disney's 16th animated feature film released in theaters. um, January 29th, 1959 was
Mhm.
its release date, which would be just a couple of years before my dad's birthday was January 29th, 1961. So just a couple of years removed from
And
him. So,
and it came out when my parents were three, so age difference.
so we got that. And this is it's probably I sort of consider this part like the completion of a trilogy in a way,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it really feels obviously not thematically related in any way, shape, or form, but it is like the Disney princess with Snow White,
Cinderella.
Cinderella, and Sleeping Beauty. They all sort of they're all sort of their core is sort of exactly the same, and to the point where this is their last fairy tale movie for 30 years. Um,
And this one has a lot in common with Cinderella, I think.
it does. Um, to the point where there are some times where I'm watching these movies and I'm expecting something to happen in like Cinderella, and I'm like, oh wait, no, that's Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah.
Like and some of the minor plots, not like the obviously the big plot
Right.
stuff, but there are little things that happen, like her walking through the woods with the animals and stuff, and that those big panoramic shots and things.
Or
Yeah,
or Prince Charming's father and Prince Philip's father being the same damn character.
it is. Yeah,
The
they
same
didn't even
character.
try. This is the only time they've named the prince, like up
Yes.
to this, because like it was the prince of Prince Charming, and now you have Prince Philip. He's actually got a name, and there's more to that. Obviously, we'll get to it in a little bit. But yeah, this Disney, when it returned to um, like this fairy tale adaptation stuff for 30 years, it would be um,
Little
Little
Mermaid.
Mermaid
Yeah.
will be when we're back at this. So for the next 30 years after this one, it's all sort of, it's like either more contemporary movies or more original stuff from Disney and things, because you're gonna get like all of the twist stuff. And Jungle Book stuff was a little more,
Right.
it's not a fairy tale; it's a little more traditional story.
Or you get folklore like Robin
Yeah,
Hood.
Robin Hood. You're gonna get Sword in the Stone in a little
Right.
bit. 101 Dalmatians, which is the next movie we were doing after this,
Right.
which is just it's just a simple like family story. There's no like it's a very traditional family story, but like this one is it's a fairy tale. It's an adaptation. They sort of It's kind of fun because they don't just focus when they're taking things to adapt. They're not just There's a little bit of everything. There's like some of it from Tchaikovsky's Sleeping Beauty, like the
Right.
ballet, and there's a little bit of stuff from um, the Grimm's Sleeping Beauty and
Yes.
stuff. So it's
Right.
kind of interesting to see that they didn't just focus on like the ballet, or, like the Grimm's fairy tale version or something. They kind of just took the things that worked for them. Like we'll get to that in a little bit, but first,
Hmm.
I feel like we should just talk about the movie itself. Um, with the birth of Sleeping Beauty, essentially. So
The
how
the
this movie,
birth the
yeah,
birth of Aurora
oh,
Borealis. At
Princess
this
Aurora.
time of year, at this time of And this castle localized
entirely in
within this
Southern
castle.
California.
Yes. May I see her? No.
And I mean that's essentially what they say to Maleficent when she comes.
I mean, I feel like if they like, okay, Maleficent just got sideways a bit, but also like, why not just invite her?
Yeah,
If you know she's gonna start stuff like, all right,
yeah.
we should invite
Listen,
her.
you can come, but so help me God, if you start something, if you try to place any curses or anything, you're out of here, miss.
I wonder if it's just the whole thing with like she every time they invite her, she always like does some stuff with a spindle. Like again with the spindle.
Man with the spinning wheel. It's always the spinning wheel. What is it with you and the spinning wheel?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Spinning wheel.
so yeah, yeah, it's her christening essentially. It's how we start
Yeah,
off with it.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and she's starting off with like she's betrothed to Prince Philip already. Like their their relationship is set up out the gate for this movie. There's
Yeah, she the which is odd because you realize that there's a kind of a sizable age gap between Philip and Aurora right away.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's like, "What's this baby? I gotta marry this baby."
Do I have to marry the baby now? Can I wait to marry the baby? But
Yeah,
yeah, it's where you meet the good fairies. I guess is that what
I
they? I think
guess.
that's their. I guess that's their official. It's like the ice hockey version of hockey players for fairies because each one is a different body size and like
Skinny guy, fat guy, and medium guy.
yeah, it's the same thing, but they're all
Yeah.
just different versions of the fairy godmother from Cinderella. Like
You, you know what's funny is there's another video game this movie reminded me of a lot,
yeah,
and it's freaking Legend of Zelda. Like, it's specifically Ocarina of Time, because the court like when the fairies come in, like, oh, it's the Temple of Time,
yeah, yeah,
or when the fairies each have different powers, like, oh, it's those fairies from the Desert Temple.
yeah, yeah, and they're like green, red, and blue.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, yeah, it's just like,
Hey, listen.
yeah, yeah. So you're introduced with like the three different the shattered personality of the fairy godmother
Yeah.
from Cinderella because it's basically just that same character three different times, just like each one has yeah. But yeah, uh, so yeah, you they each it's that sort of weird religious thing because it's like the three wise men and they're bestowing upon gifts
Yes.
on her, but but it's beauty and song
Yeah.
and uh, but
I just
Meriwether never gets to give her blessing, her gift to Aurora because Maleficent, who is by far the only character in this movie that has any sort of character or personality,
yes.
it's just
Uh, so the voice actress from Maleficent, am I mistaken, or is she the same person as the voice of the medium in the Haunted Mansion? That's her, right?
oh, Madame Leota. Yes, it is Madame
Yeah.
Leota.
Okay.
It's Madame
Yeah,
Leota.
like that voice is very distinct.
Yep. No, it's absolutely Madame Leota. And um, I'm trying to think. There's something else that we recognize her from. Oh, she's Lady Tremaine. She's also
Okay.
she's also
Oh my God. She actually looks like Lady Tremaine, actually.
does. She does. If you actually go to her Wikipedia page,
Hmm.
it's Eleanor Audley.
Hmm.
Her profile picture on her Wikipedia page is her in full Maleficent costume from the live action stuff that they filmed,
Nice.
and she looks exactly like Maleficent. Like it is stunning to see her in costume because wow. And she's also um, Eunice on Green Acres. So
Okay.
she's not a nobody. Uh, but yeah, you're absolutely right. She is Madame Leota.
Okay.
But yeah, she finds out she wasn't invited to all of this.
Gets a little butthurt about it.
Yeah, she's a little she plays it cool because she knows she's got a plan.
Well, I don't know if she plays it cool.
She plays it cool until she does the cursing. Like she's playing it's like, oh,
Yeah,
that's a shame. Well, guess what?
yeah. You know,
uh,
it reminded me, and I guess like I don't know if they did this intentionally, but years later when they did Hercules, the whole dynamic between baby Hercules and Hades, like, oh yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, but yeah, intentionally or not, I think some stories that are based around trying to get a child out of the picture tend to fall in that. That's just how the storytelling will sort of fall into anyway. So,
yeah,
um,
yeah.
but yeah,
Flora and Fauna and Merryweather were they're kind of the Three Stooges in this sense because
oh
okay,
yeah, yeah,
they,
they're obnoxious in this movie.
they really are because it's like, oh, she's a princess. Well, she's got to be beautiful and be able to sing. Like, yeah, she doesn't have enough privilege, ladies.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's but you know whatever. uh, we get Maleficent dropping her curse. She's gonna at the age of 16, she's going to prick her finger on the spindle of the spinning wheel
Yep.
and die.
Yep. The most convoluted way to kill somebody ever.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, and it's funny because like you never there's no for us who maybe have never experienced Sleeping Beauty before, maybe not be familiar with a time period or whatever. Like it's the most random. Like why a spinning wheel? Like
Why a spinning wheel?
I mean, like, there's no reason for it. It could be anything, but you chose a spinning wheel, assuming that because she's going to be working on a spinning wheel at some point. You know? So,
I, and so they burned all spinning wheels.
yeah,
So I
going on.
guess nobody gets new clothes ever again.
Yeah, we're done. There's no more. Never again does anybody get anything that needed, threads of any.
Yep.
This is, the cotton gin isn't going to exist for
No.
centuries at this point. So, but yeah, no,
Guess what?
yeah,
Oh, you've had those pants for 20 years. You're going to keep wearing them.
yeah. All children get nothing. You're gonna potato sacks. Or,
Yeah.
yeah,
This is walking with some raggedy looking clothes.
it's gonna be everyone's like those old timey, like a poor person has to wear a whiskey barrel. But but anyways, they try to undo the curse, but the fairies aren't strong enough to undo the curse.
Which is
Uh,
odd.
yeah, there's three of them. I think with our powers combined,
They can
Captain
form
Planet.
Captain Fin. Well,
Yeah, but,
and they because they do other stuff that seems like just as equal to a
yeah,
reverse curse.
yeah, stuff like you're shattering the basis of reality with some of the stuff that you're doing, but like this is too much. So Merryweather, who never got to do her blessing, uses her blessing. Um, that we just weakens the curse.
Right.
So instead of dying, she will fall asleep and can only be awoken by true love's first kiss. Um, so yeah, that was, and then that's when they do the whole burning everything, and we we get her being sort of sequestered out in the woods with the uh, god good fairies. I always want to call them the fairy godmother, and it's really as like one
Yeah.
unit or like a unit of because it's the same
Well,
character just broken up into three different
yeah.
characters.
And so their strategy is, oh, well, we're going to take her into hiding,
Yeah,
so we got to disguise ourselves, and we're going to raise her
yeah,
ourselves
yeah,
in this cottage
yeah,
and forego being fairies.
yeah. It's a bold plan. It's the bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it works out for him.
Yeah, they can't make a cake, but they've raised a child for 16 years.
Yeah, 16. I guess we should start it off that it starts off, and it's the song keeps showing up. But once upon a dream is sort of the
Yes.
theme song for this, and that's a really really good song.
Yes, it
It
is.
plays into it, and it comes back multiple times throughout the movie.
Yeah.
But oh yeah, so after they burn all the spinning wheels, the fairies are in, so we do a time jump. So we're jumping to her 16th birthday.
Where she's clearly not 16.
She's got a new name. She's not Aurora.
She's
She is
Rose.
Briar Rose, which
Rose.
is I think that's what her like hiding name was in the Grimm fairy tale version of it. Like they took that from it.
Her name's
Um,
Rose.
yeah,
Draw me like one of your French girls.
Briar Rose. So Briar Rabbit, Briar Bear, Briar Rose.
Briar Wyatt.
Yeah, thank you.
No, no.
No, 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 no.
Okay. Okay.
Um, so, yeah, you get and this is where you get the sort of what I consider one of the more beautiful sequences in it when she's going out to pick the berries into the woods and everything because they send her out. It's her 16th birthday and they're making a dress for her in the
Kind of.
kind of they're trying. Um, but
We, we, we saw animals in Cinderella make a better looking dress than
yeah,
these three like enchanted women.
yeah, but like the scenes of her like in the woods walking across the woods are absolutely
Yes.
gorgeous. Like they
Yes, they are.
look like the forest stuff is some of the best visually Disney stuff. This is them moving on from sort of the style that they had been using
Mm-hmm.
and moving towards a more I don't know, medieval style in a way. Um,
Well, I think what I told you when we were talking about animation like, is a lot of use of angles.
yeah,
A lot of
yeah, a
angles.
lot of angles, a lot of like the backgrounds and stuff. There's a lot of like sharp details and
Yes.
stuff. Like you see the trees, and it's like a very noticeable like bark and everything on these trees,
Right.
and very like it's not like fine details, like minute details, but like very recognizable details in a lot of these things.
Very
And
like this is like a
stands,
movie like I wouldn't mind having a lithograph
yeah,
of
yeah,
a forest scene somewhere.
yeah, a forest scene or something. But
Right.
this is where Aurora and um, Prince Philip fall in love essentially. Like they're doing this whole she's going through the woods singing her song Once Upon a
Right.
Dream. Philip sees her, starts hitting on her pretty much out the gate. Like,
Before that, the animals steal his clothes.
yeah, that's true. I forgot about this. Yeah. Um,
So she dances with the owl in Philip's cloak.
yep. Yep. Um, but yeah, it's a cute. I mean, it looks good. It's a sort of nothing meet cute essentially.
Yeah.
It's there's nothing really going. It's like it's here because that's what the story is. Like you don't really ever feel like there was ever a real connection being made other than singing a song together. But
Well, also this is probably the first man she's seen.
yeah, yeah. Well,
So
and
it's
like
like,
she's uneasy talking to him because she's not supposed to be talking to strangers anyways. But they also have no idea about the arranged marriage. So there's like it's just one of those silly like serendipity kind of scenarios that they're creating here. So
what a crazy random happenstance.
yeah. Um, oh, what happens next after that? They're working on the dress. Um,
Oh, they're failing miserably at the dressmaking and the cake making.
yes, the
So
cake.
Meriwether's like, you know what? I'm gonna go grab the three swords. I mean, four swords. I mean, three ones. And
Yeah, and then um, this is where they find out. This is where so like you know, oh yeah, wait, is it? Have we? Isn't this
Oh,
where Malevolent, Maleficent,
yes.
like finds out that like she's been
Her
trying to find
her
Aurora for
her
16
hench
years?
her henchmen have been looking for a baby for 16 years.
Yeah, it's
Henchmen who, by the way, look like moblins.
yes, this is
So more
it's
Zelda.
yeah, it's absolutely a Legend of Zelda movie.
And
Um,
she loses her damn mind when she finds out, like, you guys
it's
been
like
looking for a baby the whole time. It's been
60
16
years you've been looking
years.
for a baby. It's a good scene. It
Yeah,
is. It's genuinely like funny. Like
yeah,
when she just starts losing it, just like you could tell she's furious, but she can't help but just laugh, laugh,
yeah,
laugh, and then absolutely destroy those moblins.
yeah. We're gonna call them moblins now for the rest of
Yes,
the movie.
that's the only thing they are. I mean,
Yeah,
like, look, I mean, even Aurora is wearing a pink dress. I mean,
yeah,
come on. Come on, it's Prince Philip. If he was in a green tunic, somebody redraws this movie and puts him in a green tunic, you could say that this is Maleficent isn't too far removed from being Ganondorf.
well, I mean, I even made the joke about like Prince Philip using Daruk's protection in the climax.
Yeah,
So it is.
yeah. So, so yeah, so yeah, it's that's one of my favorite scenes in the movie. Other than the ending of this movie, the ending of this movie is like supreme. Like the final, like the
Yes,
climax of this movie is like one of Disney's best. Uh,
it's pretty cool visually. It's
yeah,
pretty cool visually,
yeah, and I mean that's all you
and
really
also
got.
frightening.
It's terrifying. Aura finds out that she's a princess,
Right.
um, and that she's told never to talk to this man again. Not knowing, again, the fairies don't know that he's the person that she's supposed to be marrying, anyways, and stuff. So,
But now at this point, Maleficent has sent out her Magica to dispel Crow to
yeah,
go spy, and the Crow's like, "Oh, that's her." It
yeah,
reports back.
yeah, it takes him absolutely no time to crack the code. What
Yeah,
if the Moblins were searching for 16 years for a baby? Nothing. The crow, raven, bird is out for 6 minutes and it's already he's good to go. He's got
yeah.
this. Um,
That's the first thing I thought. Like, it's the magic of the spell Crow.
yeah. Maleficent, like visually, Maleficent is so cool looking. Like
Yeah, the
it's a
green
very
skin tone.
yeah, like and it's like that subdued green. It's like a zombie green like kind of
Yeah,
thing.
not like a witch green. You think it'd be
Yeah,
witch green, but no, it's just like she's kind of
yeah,
like undead.
yeah, like been like yeah, undead, like just this
Yeah,
sickly green, like she's not well.
yeah,
It's a,
which they wisely decided not to replicate when they went live action with that movie.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, which is I've never seen Maleficent.
I haven't either.
Yeah, I should, but I mean, I'm sure I will at some point. But, yeah, uh, but if Prince Philip does the same thing, falls on deaf ears when he talks about how he met this wonderful woman. It's like, no, you can't. No, you're not just gonna marry some pauper lady that you met in the woods.
But they do set up a rendezvous. She said,
Yeah,
"Oh," he's like, "When will I see you again?" Never. Wait, what? Maybe later. How about tonight?
yeah. So yeah. Anyways, after all this is said and done, the fairies take Aurora to the castle to wait for her birthday celebrations, where she finally gets to meet her parents, essentially.
Yes, yes.
Um, and that's when Maleficent's plan starts to unfold. She has to supply the spinning wheel herself, essentially. Which
Well,
is,
I don't want to downplay this part because when she appears in that fireplace that is scary. That
yeah,
is a frightening scene where just like this very like ghost like this very haunting sound.
yeah, yeah.
And
It's
Aurora's face is just like
yeah,
weird.
Yeah, it's but like the whole like it's like this super silly moment at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
because it, there's no reason for her to touch the spinning wheel, like
No.
but she does anyways. Like she's being tricked by Maleficent, obviously.
Or she's in a trance,
And
maybe.
yeah, she's being yeah. It's like but Maleficent's using her dark powers of some way to get her to touch the spinning wheel. But it's like, boy, this you could have made this a lot easier on you. So pick something more common that she's gonna prick herself on. It's like
I would have been like, hey, guess what? Today it's raining spinning wheels.
it's like why not just get the spindle from a spinning wheel and go yeah yeah just poke her.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a or just like this. Why does it being attached? Why does it have to be attached to the spinning
To
wheel? I
the
guess.
actual spindle. Does
Yeah,
it not being attached to the spindle negate its power though?
yeah, like that's yeah. It's like just break it off and like hide it in her bed under her pillow or something. Like there's a million ways you can just easily. But no, you get this.
Also, I'm gonna need you to climb 50 flights of stairs while I materialize myself into a spinning wheel, and then what? I don't know, man.
Yeah, yeah. It's all silly, but yeah, she gets the curse. She falls asleep and
Yeah.
stays asleep, and that's the end of the movie. It's all over.
Yep, it's Sleeping Beauty because it's not called Awake Beauty. It's
Yeah,
Sleeping Beauty.
yeah. It's just sort of Wake Beauty. That's the sequel. You got to come back in a couple of
Yeah,
years to see
that,
Prince Philip. It's the original Infinity War.
yeah. Prince Philip will return.
Yeah,
Ash.
yeah.
I don't feel so good, Meriwether.
But but at this point is when everyone sort of finds out that Prince Philip was the person that she met in the woods and vice versa. Kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Have their conversations.
Well, this is the point where they're like, "Oh, she's dead," or we think she's dead, and
Yeah.
meanwhile, everybody's outside celebrating, like, "Yay, the princess!" And so the fairy's like, "Hey, let's just put everybody in sleep until Aurora wakes up.
Yeah.
We
It's a
can't reverse the curse, but we
yeah.
can make thousands of people fall asleep."
Yeah, we can just men in black everybody right now.
Yeah,
But yeah, Maleficent ends up kidnapping Prince Philip, essentially.
yes,
Like it's such a complicated like everything just got complicated out the gate for everyone
well,
involved. Like it's the hardest like like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. She ate an apple, she fell asleep, and now
yeah,
it's like there isn't much to it. It's easy to like she ate an apple. That's something that you can easily trick somebody into eating an apple.
right. And if it's this whole part where like, okay, so he goes in the cottage because he thinks Aurora's there. The
Yeah.
moblins jump him. They like, and then she goes instead of just like offing Philip, she goes, "Oh, I have plans for you." Gently, like what plans do you have for him? Do
Yeah.
we want to know those plans?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
It's like
my mind went there. I'm like, bet you
yeah.
do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's certainly I mean, I don't know like what how else is somebody supposed to take that line? Like
Yeah, I don't. Unless she's gonna eat him,
um
you know.
oh but I guess her plan was to keep him locked away until he was old. I mean,
But
but like because then he's old and then he gets released and then like he can reverse the curse, but now she's hasn't aged a day, and
yeah,
that,
but
it's a bad plan. It's a stupid. It's just a
it's a
petty
terrible.
plan because like she's gonna wake up still. Like the whole point is that she's gonna wake up. Like you're
Yeah,
yeah.
like Maleficent's got these like Dormammu ass powers, and she's just like,
She's no different than a Bond villain who's just all
no.
hubris with like
She is very much a Bond villain.
yeah, it's just all hubris, and
Yeah,
like it's not so much that like because there's no reason for any of this to happen. Like, at least there was like the narcissism in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, where she wanted to be the most beautiful, and that was her whole goal in life.
Right.
You know, or Cinderella, where it's just a bunch of vile, they're jealous, spiteful step parents that don't really care for her because it's not really their kid, kind of
Right.
stuff. Like, this is just pettiness. This is just there's nothing here that they ever tell you about. And
Yeah.
with your introduction to her is that they just don't like her, and so she curses. They didn't invite her because they
Yeah.
knew she was going to start something, and so she comes uninvited and starts something, and she's the one that's upset.
Well, my thing is like if she shows up at the beginning, it's like, guess what? Blah, baby's dead. What are you gonna do about it? Bye. Because she knows the fairies can't do anything.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like, yeah, you can't, like, yeah, it's just all just it's an evil plot for the sake of mad scientist style evil plot. She's like if Blofeld were a witch. Like,
so, she's gonna get at some point she's gonna get dumped into a chimney stack.
I mean, look, if it weren't for the fact that she turned into a dragon,
Yeah.
there's a chance. There's a chance this could have gone on for a few more movies.
I desperately want to get to that part though.
Yes.
The dragon
But,
scene.
yes. Well, I mean, we're pretty much there at this point.
We're
The fairies with very little drama behind it release Philip.
Yeah.
It doesn't take much. It just
Nope.
release him. He gets the Master Sword.
He gets a Master Sword
and the Hylian Shield, and the Mirror Shield. Yeah, and
yeah. Taran gives him the shield before he leaves.
Yeah, and Maleficent is absolutely furious about this. Again, just okay, sure. Your plan was stupid. You just locked them away, and you know that there are 3 fairies out there. You saw them at you know that they're on the side of Aurora. They are going to help this guy. You didn't lock him in some sort of weird curse. If you put a curse on the lock that was as strong as the curse that you put on Aurora, the best they could have done is just I don't know. Like, you didn't really think this through at all. Like,
and she obviously knows them pretty well. So
yeah, she's throwing shade at them at the very beginning.
They're not super bright. So if they can okie dokie, you kind of deserve to get taken down.
Yeah. But yeah, she surrounds the castle with thorns. It's cool. That's a cool move. That's a power move.
It's cool.
Yeah.
And Philip just hacking away at those things.
Yeah, and then she just does witch teleportation and turns into a dragon.
Before she does that, she calls on all the powers of hell, which is dope. When you watch that,
like I said, the end of this movie is some of the best Disney's ever been.
Yeah.
Because it's all visually stunning, and it's like she's calling on the powers of hell to, the underworld is coming up to imbue her with power.
Which you think about 1959 to say that in a movie, in a children's movie.
Yeah.
Holy cats.
Yeah, and there's absolutely been zero hint in the slightest that, like, oh yeah, she could turn into a dragon.
Why? I would just, if I could turn to a dragon, guess what? That's 24/7. I'm a dragon.
It's the same thing like with the Power Rangers. It's like, why are we going through all of this when inevitably it's going to be a big thing and you're going to call your giant robots? It's like, just call in the giant robots at the beginning and step on the guy.
Step on the putties. Step on the putties now. Kill the putties now.
Yeah, exactly.
Why you even mess with Goldar? Just take him down.
Yeah. Why wait to make my monster grow? Just start off with giant robots. You're wasting everyone's time.
Yeah. Like you see stuff go down, like you don't need to wait to form the head, Lance. Yeah. Form the head.
But you shouldn't even need to be told to do that. It should just come naturally at a certain point. And this is a case where if you could if you can summon the powers of Satan into your body to turn you into a dragon, the fact that this bumbling nonsense has been going on for the last hour seems silly.
Is it implied with her horns and her calling upon the powers of hell that she is a manifestation of the devil or like in league with the devil? I don't know.
I think you're supposed to at least associate her as being in league with. I don't think she's supposed to be Mrs. Satan. like,
Yeah,
but I think that's supposed to be like implied because it's the art style of this movie is sort of implicating different sort of styles and like her
right.
sort of like evil, you know, look is very inspired by the specific eras of art that they're pulling from. So, um, but uh, Philip just hurls that sword right into her heart. It just
Well,
javelin.
Flora, yeah, Flora is like, guess what? Like your knight's broadsword's about to break. Just throw it.
Hurl it just like Breath of the Wild. It's your
Just
last ditch
throw it.
effort. Just huck this thing. It's gonna shatter any second. Just huck it. And he does, and
He
it doesn't
kills
even
Lionel.
yeah, yeah, it doesn't even like that isn't what kills her. It's like the fall that
Yeah,
kills
and there's
her. Like it
blood.
just yeah, yeah, it doesn't it's this is a final fight that does not pull its punches. It's
No,
dark, it's scary. Like as a child, this is terrifying.
I
It's and
yeah. When I
it's
saw
yeah,
this movie, I was probably like 8 for the first time. I was like, whoa.
yeah. And so, death of the death of the bad guy, which that's the Disney way. The bad guy dies. So uh
She leaves like when she dies, like there's this black ooze
yeah.
where she what like she's like the tar monster from the episode Next Generation, and and the sword that got chucked at her turns black.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah.
pretty cool
Yeah,
visual.
it's all very cool visually. And then so Philip kisses Aurora, breaking the spell. And it breaks the spell of everyone in the castle. Like that kiss woke up everybody.
Well, no, well remember they said like they're
Yeah,
gonna put everybody to sleep until she wakes up.
yeah.
So I guess maybe that's why.
That's boy, that is a hail mary, if anything,
Yeah.
because you're assuming that she is going to wake up. The only way,
Also,
if if this didn't work out, you just killed hundreds of
yeah, we're gonna put everybody else's life on hold.
it's a bold strategy, and it played out for him. So
Sure,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Then you get your everyone's happy to live happily ever hour.
And
So
Aurora hugs her
dancing,
parents, who she's never seen before, but there
yeah.
you go.
The her gown changes color.
Right, because Meriwether and Flora have been fighting over pink and blue.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It just those fairies are so obnoxious, and they
yeah.
just didn't like. Yeah, yeah. I could not stand those fairies, but
You know what's funny is I felt like they when I saw this when I was a kid, I was 8, right?
yeah,
And I thought they were like the Golden Girls, kind of in a way. You could see it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Decades before that was
Like
anything, but
like Fauna is Rose.
yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
But but yeah, that's Cinderella. Sleeping
That's
Beauty.
Cinderella,
I
and
wish,
pretty
I wish,
much.
yeah. I mean, look, it's sort of like this weird amalgam of both Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty. Like
Yeah,
Snow White and Seven Dwarfs, Sleeping Beauty is like it doesn't like it's the tropiest of all of them. Like it follows every bullet point that a Disney movie that you expect a Disney movie to have.
right. I mean,
Like
it
it's
clocks
like
in at what, an hour 15?
yeah, it's like 101 minutes, I think, or something at the
Okay.
end. But yeah, it's nuts. Yeah, and it just it moves as a good enough pace. Like, but it doesn't move at a pace where any of the drama gets to sort of sink in.
No, no.
So like
Like they,
like I said, a perfect point is the whole she kidnaps Philip. Philip's out within like 2 minutes. Like there's nothing there. There's no drama. There's no worry. At least in Cinderella, uh, there's you feel a little bit of tension of her being locked in the room when the glass
right.
slipper is being tried on because it's there's stuff going on and there's the cat is being a jerk and everyone's trying to get her out and it feels like there's a little more drama there. There was no drama with
The,
with anything that happened in this movie. Uh,
I mean, they do a time jump at the beginning of the movie.
yeah, yeah,
There's an
like
immediate time jump.
you get like 4 minutes of exposition at the very beginning, and then it's the time jump 16 years,
Yeah,
and then the rest of the movie takes place over the course of like uh, half a
like
day. Like,
maybe that. Yeah,
yeah, it's her 16th birthday. It's throughout her 16th birthday. So by the time you get to the end of everything, it's so yeah,
it becomes an episode of 24.
yeah, yeah. It's like the Cliff Notes version of 24. It's what
Beep beep beep
yeah,
beep beep.
yeah. So um,
Damn it, Chloe.
yeah, it's a Game Boy Advance version of a Zelda game. It's like that's not the full game, but it's
Yeah,
we're just gonna drill that Zelda comparison into the ground.
it's
Too good to just give up on.
it's the Minish Cap of Disney princess movies.
But so yeah, so uh, it's fine. I mean, it's not.
Yeah,
I I would never go out of my way, and I haven't gone out of my way to see it. I think the end of the movie is easily the best part of the movie.
yeah.
Uh,
Well, remember how you were talking about like was it last week or the week before? Like the last third of the movie was the better
oh yeah,
part.
it was
This is
Lady and the
like
Tramp.
Lay the
Lady
Tramp.
and the
This
Tramp is
this is the
all
same
third act.
thing.
Yeah,
This
and
is
it's
the same thing.
even less because like the bulk of the third act is like it's like the falling asleep. It's the at the castle stuff, and like that just sort of meanders about with her being falling asleep and Prince Philip getting kidnapped and all of that stuff. And it's still nothing's really happening other than just like, okay, this has to happen and this has to happen. And then it's like, and now everything happens at once. For the
So it's the
final.
last eighth of the movie. In
Yeah.
that
It's
case.
like, yeah, it's like everything just sort of feels like it's happening because it has to, because that's the story. Like it doesn't feel like it doesn't earn a lot of the drama
No,
or tension that it
no
creates. Um, and like I said, Maleficent is the only character that has any sort of like
depth.
character
Yeah,
depth to her or anything, and you still don't know anything about her. Like,
like
she,
why does she
like
hate them so much?
yeah, like the motivation is never really explained, other than the fact that she's clearly she's just an agent of chaos, I guess, like for the devil in this in a way.
Maybe
I,
like,
yeah,
but there's got to be a reason to have it
because
invite her.
at least there's some things like Snow White or something where it's like, and now she's queen or
Yeah,
something. Like she's never gonna ascend the throne or
right.
anything. So it's not like she's like the step brother, like step sister, or like or anything. It's just
She just has unknown motivation.
yeah. I mean, and it works in a sense. Sometimes that's good for a villain to just sort of like, why are they that way? They're that way. It's the Michael Myers situation where it's like it's just evil. It's
Yeah,
got the devil's eyes, you know. but but yeah, this is obviously uh, um, one of the first movies that they started writing in the 50s.
right.
Um, Cinderella was a big hit. They they didn't start. So this is sort of a different situation because so this movie comes out in 59.
Hmm.
They start writing it in 51. So I mean, like, there's usually these movies have either crazy like we started working on this one in 1938 or something like that. This one's like there's an 8 year gap between when they started writing it and when it came out. and it's one of the first ones they started working on, post World War II and all of the other stuff coming out.
It kind of shows a little bit that they didn't
Yeah,
put as much time into this one.
yeah. Um, so, uh, it, you know, it didn't. It was originally supposed to come out like just in a few years, like when they started working on it. Like the plot was to have it be um, opening around the time of Disneyland. Um,
Hence the castle.
and it's the castle was like specifically. It doesn't look like the castle,
It doesn't.
but they just dub it that because it to be a promotional piece. That was the whole point. It was because I think the original um, in the original designs of it, it was like they were calling it Cinderella's castle.
Right.
But it was coming out so close to the movie and stuff. It's perfect synergy kind of situation, and having a castle was important to Walt. Walt had a phrase that he liked to use, especially for the parks, and it was weenie. And the castle was the weenie of the park, and the reason it's called a weenie is because he was like, no matter what, like he used to have a dog, and it's like the dog is automatically just wherever the hot dog is, wherever the weenie is, the dog
Mm-hmm.
is where the dog is going to go, no matter what. And so that's what like you know, so she would refer to things like the castle is the weenie. So it's no matter where you're at, that's sort of your central point, and that's where you're going to sort of naturally drift to. So you go on Main Street, and you're just
Right.
automatically going towards the castle. When you get there, and maybe you do have the castle, or you can go anywhere, but you know where you're at now.
I thought I think it was like he called that because the spires are very phallic looking.
Look, he's not an animator. If it was an animator, especially if you were working on the VHS cover of Little Mermaid, yeah.
Little Mermaid. Yeah. And of course, we know the real weenie at Disneyland is found at the Little Red Wagon.
Well,
Unofficial
eventually,
sponsors of this podcast.
maybe official sponsor one day.
Maybe official.
As if it's some sort of standalone product within the.
It's like it's a separate entity.
It's his own, yeah, it's his own thing. It's like no, it's like we've been here for 50 years and 60 years at this point, and it's like we've been out of business everywhere else in the country, but Disneyland, our little red wagon corn dogs.
It's like they're a franchisee or something.
But we'll just record an episode of it from sitting right next to the cart, sit on the planter, and just record an episode of this podcast right next to the little red wagon corn dog cart.
Which might happen, folks. It's been talked about.
There's very real reality that this could happen. So,
yes,
um,
which could go bad or great.
Yeah. Plus, I think like they have to make some conceits when it comes to adapting a story like this. Like the curse gets changed a little bit and stuff. Like originally it's like 100-year curse, but it's like, well, that seems kind of absurd, doesn't it? Like,
you know what? I actually don't. I remember very little about the original Grimm's fairy tale, so I will let you fill me there.
It's been grade school since I've gone through any of the Grimm's fairy tale stuff. So everything that I remember sort of tangentially, because there's some things you just can't forget.
Right.
Like with Grimm's fairy tales version of Sleeping Beauty in particular, like the prince, it gets blue. So,
yeah. Or Beauty and the Beast, he's literally a werewolf.
Yeah, it's Lon Chaney.
Yeah.
But but yeah, there was one thing that was interesting that I thought about this was how I always sort of I always thought like some of this movie in particular feels very Fantasia-y.
I can see that,
especially especially with the dragon stuff. It feels like Night on Bald Mountain,
or the cleaning up scene with the broom.
Yeah. But this movie started changing. This is like Disney was using a very specific style of art It was Rococo art, which would have been a like Baroque era artwork,
Right.
and so that was sort of what they. But this time around, they started. They were more Art Deco this time around, and one of their artists, Kay Nelson, who was the original, like, who was one of the sketch artists in his artistic style and stuff, actually did do this early sketches for the Night on Bald Mountain sequence.
Ah, that makes a lot of sense then.
So it makes a lot of sense for like some of the visuals, like even in the forest scenes where it's this very it is a very Art Deco-y style, medieval style. Um,
You can see similarities between Maleficent and the demon from
yes,
Bald Mountain.
especially yeah, and especially like when it takes on its dragon form.
Yes.
Um, it also like and the whole like transformation sequence and stuff really does feel like Bald Mountain is there. So
And
yeah.
the use of shadows when
Mm-hmm.
she's got this billowing smoke coming up from underneath her.
But he ended up what they decided on for Sleeping Beauty was because um, one of the artists, John Hench, found some tapestries at the
Oh,
Metropolitan Museum of Art, um, in New York, and he brought some reproductions of these tapestries, and that like with like the art designs on them and stuff from this era, and that's when Walt decided, like, yes, that's what Sleeping Beauty looks like. That's the design of Sleeping Beauty. So
we've come to look at the tapestries. We have a great many tapestries.
um, but and apparently, and one of the quotes that I saw was how important the background artwork was and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, um, like all the paintings, like um, they actually says he made them more like Christmas cards, and
Hmm.
like you look at some of the, like, especially with the woods, it's like all the beautiful detail in the trees, the bark, and all of that. That's all well and good,
Yeah.
but what the hell's going to look at that, or who the hell's going to look at that? The backgrounds became more important than the animation. He's made them more look like Christmas cards, and I mean that's a fair assessment. I think like the backgrounds, especially in the forest scenes, are like take up your your eyesight. Like I like you can't really like you see, I think of those scenes and you see those things and you see the background more than you see Aurora walking through them and stuff because they stand out and are just they're paintings essentially, and you could tell they're paintings.
You know, I hadn't thought of the Christmas card uh, thing until you mentioned it, but yeah,
Yeah,
no, yeah, you can kind of see it.
yeah,
You can kind of see it a little bit.
especially
Yeah,
especially in this era of time where
right.
the 50s where there's a lot of Rockefeller and stuff like
Yes.
that. That sort of that style. This weird like it's not realistic, but it is adjacent to realism.
Right.
That that so it's which is a lot like that Rockefeller style of artwork, where it's like it doesn't look like these don't look like real human beings, but they look enough like you get like that like yeah okay it looks like the way they're painted looks it's realistic enough, and um, it's also very clearly just art,
Yes, it is.
not
It is.
content. Yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of hard, but I know that I like that style of art for whatever reason.
yeah, yeah.
It's distinctly 50s. I guess is the best way to put it.
Yes, it's very much of its time. Um,
Yeah.
this particular, but this movie more than anything is very much feels. Every once in a while you watch a Disney movie, especially some of the earlier ones. Like Dumbo is always one that always gets me off guard. It's like like really that's 19. It's like 1940 or whatever, and then like even Snow White and Seven Dwarves, like it's hard to imagine that that's 1938 or something. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like this
Yeah.
one, this one, I can always remember is the one from the 50s, like the
Because
way
it looks like
it looks like
50s.
the 50s. It feels the way the story is told. Everything feels very 50s Hollywood. This is the most sort of this feels the most Hollywood of any of the Disney movies.
Yeah,
Um,
I can see that.
yeah, it's you're you're not too removed from just being like a traditional studio film with this particular movie, which is not what people go to see Disney stuff.
No,
Um, but
but it has the visual appeal to keep you. I mean, for me, you know, uh, admittedly, this is not one of my favorite movies we've done so far, but what keeps you engaged is the visual.
yeah, the use of the use of live action in this one probably caused more. Um, I don't know what the right word to use for this, but there was more pushback on using live action for this movie than any of the other previous ones. It's been a thing that they always did. They've for all of their movies that feature humans, and in some cases some of the animal ones. They did it with Bambi a little bit, but it was less about movement, more about making the animals look right. Um, but um, there was more pushback internally for it. It was like any animator who's worth their weight knows how you know a character should move, and that was sort of that's direct, not a direct quote, but paraphrasing a little bit on this. Um, it was let's see, it was Milk Call. Here we go, found the quote. I know I saved it somewhere. Um, because Walt wanted the characters to appear as near flesh and blood as possible.
Right.
And Milt was like, called it a crutch. It's stifling of the creative effort. Anyone with their salt in the business ought to know how people move. So it's like it's just something you should know. This is pointless. Why are we wasting our time with these live action things? We know how people move. We know how they're supposed to move.
But at the same time, to give him credit, it's still an animated film, so you don't want it to be like hyper realistic. You
Yeah,
want to leave some. It's also a fantasy film, so
yeah, it's also a crutch because at the end of the day, if especially at this point in studio history, where Walt is Disneyland's open now. At this point, um, uh,
that's where his focus is.
that's where his focus is. When time starts running out and you're pushing for your release date that you need it to be at, you are more likely to take that live action stuff and rotoscope it,
Right.
and that's a good animator doesn't want to do that. And especially you don't want to be doing that at a Disney movie. Like it feels wrong. I mean, and they did it. They don't talk about it very often, but I mean, they absolutely did it. They did a lot of rotoscoping because again, you run out of time at a point. It takes a lot of time to make an
Right.
animated movie and a lot of money. And when you're a studio like this, who's effectively always sort of on the verge of not making your money back.
Yeah. I mean, they've just come off some lean times, not
Yeah,
10 years before. So
and I mean, for the most part, like these cartoons are losing Walt. Like he's still there, he's still making calls, calling the shots and everything, but he's not. His hand isn't in it as much as it used to be, and so it's harder to, it's harder to get things done. It's harder to make. It's hard for the people, especially the long timers, to like make a decision because you're used to Walt making the decision at the end of the day.
right.
And but now you're getting, well, I mean, this is just how it has to be. We have to, if we want to get this out on time, we've been working on the scene for too long. We need to get this out. We need to finish this. We need to move on to whatever's next on this movie. And so finish it up, finish it, finish it, finish it.
You have to wonder how like what kind of adjustment that was because think about like you said he used to be the final word and now it's like everybody get into a room now we have to have like
Yeah,
like one consensus. What are we working on? What do we need to do? Everybody
yeah,
has to have some kind of agreement,
yeah,
and that probably makes things more difficult.
yeah. This was a um, during when this like for the soundtrack of this movie, there was a musician strike in 1957, which apparently affected where they could record the soundtrack to this. So
Really?
it was like the score itself was recorded like out of country because it's just like as a way to get around musical strike, and they had to uh, uh, replace like their musician that they were using and to sign the scores and everything. It's like a weird little like moment in history where it's like there's no like anything about this musician strike of 1957, but it was
Yeah,
there, and it's a footnote in the history. It's not like the animator strike where it shut down Disney for months and months, but it had enough effect where I don't really, with the exception of Once Upon a Dream, I don't really recognize the music in this movie.
it gets ominous in parts where it needs to, but like
Yeah,
it's like
it's not. It's not your traditional Disney score by any
yeah,
stretch of the imagination.
because
It's
when you think it
all
just
it's all mood pieces. It's all setting. It's all tone. It's all setting tone. It's like one recurring song that reprises itself a few times. Like it's at the beginning, it's at the middle, and it's at the end. It's
because I think you and I both will kind of agree with this. Like when you think of traditional Disney movies, the music is a character in of itself.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
and
And
it's
still to
just
this
kind of
day,
not there.
yeah. And that's
It's
still the
kind of
Disney thing, yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you know, production went relatively smoothly on this movie. It wasn't really a
Mhm.
whole lot because like you're in a groove now. You had some successes, Lady and the Tramp was relatively successful. Cinderella was a huge success, and so this movie is sort of the follow up essentially to it,
Right.
even though there were movies in between. Um, it's just, this one was like bolstered by the success of Cinderella and didn't really have anything to do with the success of Lady and the Tramp. Because Lady and the Tramp wasn't really a success in like a huge sense. It was just it made its money back and made some money, but not to the extent of like Cinderella. Um, but this one, this one didn't do as well. I mean, it did fine, but it made how much money did it make? It had a budget of 6 million. It made 50 million. So it did
It's
great financially, obviously, but critically, it was just like fine. It's not great.
maybe by this point, like there people thought the formula was played out. Like
Yeah,
we've seen the formula, we get it.
yeah. And I mean, like I said, like after this movie, they don't go back to this
Right.
formula for 30 years. Not until the 80s. At this point, we're in the 50s. I mean, like we're both well alive at this point when
Yeah,
they come back to this style of movie.
yeah, because there's this whole thing for girls, like, and Disney pushes it hard, the Disney princess thing.
Yeah.
But you think about like there's only like three. There's only three before like most of us were born.
Um, this movie was in theaters. It was partnered with um, a Grand Canyon nature documentary, which and that
That's an odd pairing.
yeah, but at the time that was like some of the bread and butter of Disney. Those nature documentaries were like
Oh
Disney
yeah.
reinvented, like didn't even really reinvent the nature documentary. Like they invented the nature documentary. It was they're big. They were a big deal. And like this one won uh, Academy Award. Like this, the Grand Canyon, and I am pretty sure that's what the train sequence is inspired by at Disneyland. Because
Okay.
through the Grand Canyon, and it does that and it has the dinosaur scene and stuff too. But that's unrelated to the Grand Canyon anything that they could sort of shove them together. But if you get the Blu-ray, it actually has the Grand Canyon special.
Does it
So
really?
yep,
That's
yep,
kind of cool.
yeah. I mean, it's cool. I mean, like they usually don't do that. They usually just sort of ignore what it was paired with initially on some of these sets. So it was cool to see like they actually included it on that
Well,
set.
correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't this kind of like one of their really early Blu-ray releases?
Yeah, I think I think so. I think it was one of those because they always start with the princess ones. Those are those are always the big ones. They're the easiest ones to sort of make your money on.
What were
So
they called? The Diamond Editions or where they
I,
were?
yeah, what was yeah? Well, because I can never remember what the Blu-rays were because it was like the platinum editions on DVD.
Yeah. I think it's Diamond.
I think it's Diamond.
Yeah.
I don't know if their signature series now or something. I think it's been
Yeah.
switched to because they have Walt's signature on the cover, so,
Right.
which won't make any sense when it starts getting in. It's like you can't do that for a bunch of movies that are going to come out. Like anything after Jungle Book can't be a signature
Yeah.
series. But, but it didn't really. But its initial run didn't make a whole ton of money. It made like 5 million on its initial theatrical run. It's made the 50 million, throughout its lifetime. But like its initial run was um, 5.3 million. Um, so it didn't make its money back in its initial run, and it was also cost $6 million to make,
So
which
it lost $1 million.
lost money, and it was it was the most expensive Disney movie at the time. Like that was the most expensive cartoon they made.
Wow.
And I don't know, like there's nothing. I wonder why it was the most expensive because it doesn't feel like thematically like it does anything. It doesn't. It's not inventing anything new. It's not really doing a whole lot. It's
It's
like
not super long.
not super long. It wasn't in development for particularly massive amount of time. So I'm assuming it just has to deal with what the dollar was worth in the time where it was being made.
Or it could have been like a lot of like trial and error with the art style. Like we're gonna try this. No, we're gonna try this. And maybe it was just man hours or whatever.
It's twice as expensive as Alice in Wonderland, Peter Pan, and Lady and the Tramp.
God.
Uh,
I don't see it though. I don't but I
it was the first time the companies. It was the first time their first annual loss in a decade. So, like, it was the first time they've had like an actual like reportable loss for in the decades. And so, obviously, when something like that happens,
we're not
people
gonna
get
do this again for 30
yeah,
years.
and people get fired. So
Yeah.
the animation department was sort of crippled for a spell. Um,
And it shows. It
yeah,
shows coming up in a few years.
yeah. It was like every Disney movie. It was re-released multiple times,
Right.
but not in Walt's lifetime, according to Wikipedia, which I guess makes sense since like its next release was in 1970, and he would have been already well dead by. I think it's only 1959. Like they usually wait a decade
Right.
for a re-release for some of their stuff. So it being 1970 is about a decade later. So because it opened in January of 1959, so 1960 basically.
Yeah.
But
So how many times was it re-released in theaters?
let's see, 1970, 1979,
Okay.
1986, and 1985. So,
Okay.
so four times.
And then I think then it was a Wonderful World of Disney.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I saw it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would have seen big box clamshell VHS at first because I think that was. Oh, let's see if we can find out exactly when. That's weird. It was originally going to be re-released in 1993 and was even advertised on the 1992 VHS release of Beauty and the Beast, but they pushed it to 1995.
You know what's funny? I actually have the 1992 video release of Beauty and the Beast, so I'm gonna go. No, I have to find a VCR to go look for
You're gonna have to take it out, hold it up to the light, and see if you
it.
can.
Yeah, we hit a Goodwill, and I'll report back.
But yeah, so all of its re-releases and everything put it as a massive hit.
Right.
Eventually, like all of these Disney movies, it's a massive hit. Um, but Diamond Edition is the most recent. So Diamond Edition, Blu-ray, DVD. So Diamond Edition is the most recent style.
And that was released like what, maybe 10 years ago, almost
Oh, jeez. Let's see. 2014, so six years
six
ago.
years. 6 years
So
ago.
all right, yeah, that makes
Huh.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, let's get into our breakdown of some of the legacy of this movie because
Of which it has
it
plenty
has
of.
it's plenty of like video games is how we always start because eventually the answer is going to be yes to everything. The,
Right.
the answer typically becomes yes regardless because Kingdom Hearts exists
Yeah.
and
Yes.
um, and yeah, Aurora is absolutely plays a role in this, and so does Maleficent. And everything like it's easy, probably one of the easier properties to shove into uh, Kingdom Hearts because, as we said, this is effectively Legend of Zelda.
Yeah.
Then it's and, Kingdom Hearts is a Final Fantasy game, and having it be like the villain turns into a dragon. What's more fantasy
Right.
RPG than than that? So yeah, of course it's in Kingdom Hearts. It's in all of the Kingdom Hearts. I'm sure it's Kingdom Hearts 3 when we're recording this is out. It's very shortly, and it's gonna. I'm assuming it's gonna be in that too. So
I, I go back to this game a lot, but I think Maleficent was also in the Mickey Mouse 3DS game.
I would assume so.
I think she was in there too.
I don't remember much about the Epic Mickey one.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was not a good game. It was not a good
it
game.
was on the verge of being a good game,
It
but
relied too much on the stylus.
yeah. Was she in the
The Wii game?
no that weird like Sim City Disney 3DS
Oh, you
thing?
know what? She might have been. I can't. You know what? I don't know what. I actually don't think so. I don't
Ah,
think she was.
what a shame.
Yeah,
But uh, so yeah, but, music. We always like to talk about the music, and
the
it
one
was
song.
"Once Upon a Dream" in this particular one was a pretty big hit. It's been covered a few times.
Hmm.
Uh, it made an appearance. They made a big push for it. It had a pretty decent cover. It came out when Maleficent was hitting theaters.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, Once Upon a Dream is, I think it's successfully penetrated sort of pop culture in a sense. Not as much as some of the other songs, but it's there. You
Yeah,
recognize it, you hear it. You go into the theme parks, you hear it. It's a thing. Um, but speaking of theme parks, does it appear at the theme parks?
yes, the actual Sleeping Beauty castle and uh the dragon is in Fantasmic, correct?
Correct.
Yeah,
And and the castle itself has a walkthrough
right.
that you can go through. The castle itself isn't really Sleeping Beauty's castle. It's just called that
In name only,
in name only. Um, but
because you don't see a lot of exterior of the castle in the movie itself.
no, 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 no. But it has a walkthrough um, exhibit. That exhibit was closed for a little while. Um, because for like 5 or 6 years, because after the 9/11 terrorist attacks, they closed it because it was small, tight corridors, and it was and they didn't have cast in there to like
Right.
monitor anything, so they just were like, it's a risk, it's a safety risk, so they just shut it down.
I mean,
Um,
if they want to say if they want to call it the Sword of the Stone Castle, I'd be like, all right, probably.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. But they reopened it. That walkthrough. The castle is basically the exact same um, castle in Hong Kong and Paris. Actually, Paris is cool because the castle in Paris, the castle in Paris is probably their best castle because they like have to use like the architecture, the design of it. It's like it's not fiberglass. It's like real masonry stuff. Um, and the basement actually has the Maleficent dragon in it. Like you go to it, and there's a big dragon down there designed after the Maleficent dragon,
that's
and
pretty
it's
cool.
it's really cool. It's a really good.
Not
Uh,
this,
yeah,
not like the rinky-dink spray foam castle we have and
yeah,
the
and,
stucco castle we have in Disneyland.
yeah. It's uh, you can actually at the Disneyland one because it has that display of everything.
Yeah,
Um, but there's no like wheelchair accessibility or anything. They actually have like virtual version where you can like look through all the displays and stuff without having to go up the stairs and stuff. It's them trying, but like it's something that's you're never going to be able to redesign that.
No.
Oh, and I guess I remember a story that I heard was the castle was never intended to be that either. Um, it was just supposed to be storage, or not even storage. It was just hollow, and there wasn't supposed to be a walkthrough exhibit at all. Um, but I guess at one point, like they found of like a rat infestation
Oh God.
in there. It's like once you get people going through there, you can't rats don't want to live in there
In the
anymore.
Paris castle?
In the Disneyland, the actual
Oh, okay.
Disney.
I was like,
Yes,
and that's how Ratatouille was born.
yes, yeah. I mean, look, it's movies have been made off of worse premises than finding rats in here.
Yeah.
But Princess Aurora is also, and all the characters are sort of common. And yeah, Maleficent Dragon is in Phantasmic, and so yeah,
I think there's like cast dressed up as Maleficent
yeah,
and
and Prince
Aurora
Philip,
walking around the park. Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
I've seen the fairies before there. Pretty much the majority of the cast gets some FaceTime once in a while. You see Maleficent and Aurora more. You don't
Yeah.
see you see Aurora almost all the time. You see Maleficent a little more. You see some of the other characters occasionally, but it's probably one of the very few movies that has such a full um, placement in the park. So
Yeah, I mean, I figure Aurora is probably the easiest to go with cast wise. Like, we just need a
yeah,
tall, skinny blonde woman. Great,
yeah,
you're in.
yeah. It's like it's doesn't she doesn't have any sort of like particular um, traits that make her stand out
No.
particularly different. It's just blonde, simple, easy blonde hair and a pink dress. So,
Yep. Or blue
um,
dress. Or
blue
pink.
dress.
Pink
Yeah,
dress. Blue dress.
they
Pink
usually
dress.
go with the they usually go with the pink dress.
Right.
It tends
Be
to
kind
be
of
their
cool if they
go-to.
had one that changes colors. Though.
Would be cool. I'm sure if anyone's gonna pull that off,
They're, they're like, we're not gonna like go through all that trouble. We're gonna have our Imagineers work on a color changing dress for this old movie,
but no sequel in a traditional sense. It has Maleficent,
which is a
which
prequel
prequels,
in between.
yeah, it would be yeah, and it's live action and it's not like it's directly. It's not like it's not even like a companion piece to Sleeping Beauty. It's more it's more taking into account that you understand what the story of Sleeping Beauty is
Yeah.
generically. It's not like it's like the Wizard of Oz movie that they made, that Great Powerful Oz, where it's not.
Right.
It can technically be a prequel to um, the
The Judy
movie,
Garland movie. Right.
yeah, but it can also just be its own thing that is attached to the book or
Yeah.
any of the other adaptations. It's just sort of like you can if you do the look at it, it is, but it's also not. Like it can easily just be its own thing. Like if they
It,
wanted to, they could probably make a Sleeping Beauty sequel that is just the sequel to this. That if they ever
well, I mean,
felt
like
the urge to.
the if you read the plot summary of Maleficent,
Yeah,
it goes directions where it's like,
yeah,
so pretty much the only thing it has in common with the animated film is the look of Maleficent.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
Oh, there was also, I think her character was in that awful Once Upon a Time show.
I I doesn't doesn't surprise me. I've never seen it Once Upon a Time. I've seen scenes from it and stuff, but I've never actually
My wife,
watched it.
like again, my wife used to watch it, and you're good, you're good, not watching that.
They are making a Maleficent 2 though.
I've heard
They
that. Yeah.
it's like filming, and everyone's like I think it was Angelina Jolie's back and Elle Fanning is Aurora again, and I think I read that Michelle Pfeiffer is in it.
Hmm.
She seems to be making some weird comebacks. So yeah, I don't know. I maybe I'll get around to watching it, the original one. It seems fine. I mean,
I feel like we should have watched it for research, but
yeah. But then like That's future episodes that we can have. This isn't about. This episode
Yeah.
isn't about Maleficent. This episode is about Sleeping Beauty. If I wanted to talk
Yeah.
about Maleficent, I would have had you watch Maleficent.
Hmm. And then you
But
say that, and then when we get to our computer wore tennis shoes episode, you're going to regret that decision.
but yeah. So is there anything else that we usually cover? We did
Um,
music, we did video games, we did the theme park, we did sequels. That's usually what we always cover.
we got some merch.
Yeah.
Uh, we got the Maleficent Lego minifigure and the second series of Disney.
Yep. Yep. And it's Sleeping Beauty stuff. Like you don't really have like an iconic.
Aurora's and Wreck-It Ralph too.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't really have like an iconic like totem. You know what I mean? Like
Eh,
no poison apple. There's no wilting rose. There's no glass slipper. You know
they're,
what I
they're not
mean? Like
they're not selling spindles at the Disney store for kids to
yeah,
take home.
exactly. There's no like yeah. There's no because like that's the only thing that could be remotely considered a totem. And how what do you do with that? Like how do you expect me to sell a spinning wheel?
Yeah,
Like even if it was a miniature spinning wheel, like what is it? Is it like it's like a gravy boat? Like what do you want me to do with a spinning wheel? Like
and Disney's pretty good at like marketing their little MacGuffins in the movies, but not in this case.
yeah, like at best you get Maleficent stuff and like horns, like her look like her headdress,
Right,
or even Sleeping Beauty. Like it doesn't really have. You don't see little girls particularly dressed up as Sleeping Beauty as much as you see them dressed up as Snow White or
or
Cinderella
or
or
Cinderella
Belle
or Elsa.
or Elsa, Belle.
Yeah.
Yeah, but because it's a relatively plain. It's very Anglo design. It's very simple, like white
Hmm.
blonde American girl in a,
Yeah.
in a dress. It's like there's nothing particularly standoutish about Aurora. I think that's the key to the design. I'm pretty sure, but
I wonder if the her being so I don't want to say like underwhelming character wise was not by design. So like girls can imagine themselves in that character easier
yeah,
because she doesn't
yeah.
have any like
Like
distinguishing.
if this movie were made a decade later or something, I could see that. But it's like we're still in the heart of the '50s,
Right,
and it's like Disney marketing and like merchandise wasn't on the same level as it is nowadays. I mean, it's
right,
still obviously Disney stuff was massive in the '50s, especially with Disneyland and stuff, but like not to the level that it would become, where everything has you know cross promotional items and stuff. Like I said, like with Elsa and stuff, like it, you know, decades later, you would just just the idea of the blue dress and the big long braid or something is something that you could sell to little girls,
yeah,
like stuff. But like, there's nothing really to sell. Like Snow White, at least she has a distinctive dress.
right.
Same thing with Belle. Her ball gown is very distinctive. Cinderella, very distinctive look all around for her. I mean,
Jasmine, it's got a very
Jasmine, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So,
I
but so
mean,
yeah,
you could argue the castle itself is the biggest piece of marketing material for the movie.
yeah, and then like and at the time, that's like the castle at Disneyland was 100% just a marketing material. Walt wanted a castle. I've got a new movie coming out that has castles in it, so this just makes sense to brand it as such, as a teaser for go see our new movie that's going to have castles like this in it. So
Disney's castles coming to theaters.
I like look like they do all those nature documentaries and stuff, just like this, just soaring over castles.
Just soaring over
Yeah,
castles.
coming soon, the California Adventure in Disney World.
Castles for for Castleton.
Are you
That's a
ready?
joke. Really
Are you
funny.
ready to rank it? Are you ready to rank
Let's
it?
let's rank this film.
All right, Nick, we're going to start with your list.
Okay,
Uh, Better or worse than Dumbo?
worse,
Fantasia,
worse,
Cinderella,
worse,
Ichabod and Mr. Toad,
worse,
Lady and the Tramp,
I think based on just the climax alone, I like it better than Lady and the Tramp.
You're gonna put it above Lady and the Tramp.
Yes, I am.
Okay. So let me. Sleeping Beauty is now your one, two, three, fifth movie.
That's a good spot for that movie. That's a
Yeah,
good
seems
spot.
fair.
I mean, like, I'm
Um,
again basing it on the finale, and like just like you and I were gushing about the art style. Not in this podcast, unfortunately. We did a
yeah,
little bit, but like
no,
via text, like, how
I,
much you love the art.
and I think I did a pretty good job of
You
sort of
did, you
saying
did.
how much
I
I love the forest sequence in this movie.
Yeah,
Like, it's
yeah.
there's nothing going on in that scene. It's just beautiful to look at.
It's just nice to look
Yeah,
at.
like a good like background on my computer. You know, it's
Yeah.
but so for me, I worse than Fantasia, worse
Hmm.
than Cinderella, worse than Snow
Hmm.
White,
Hmm.
worse than Peter Pan. See,
Hmm.
I'm at the same spot as you, so now I'm at Lady and the Tramp. Do I like it more or less than Lady and the Tramp? I think I'm gonna put it below Lady and the Tramp, but above Pinocchio, because
Okay.
I think I like Lady and the Tramp as a movie as a whole more.
Right.
I think I like it's as we were saying last week, like nothing happens in the first two thirds of that movie, and it's all back ended in the third where all the action happens. But even in the first beginning of that movie, I think it's at least got some real charm and characters
Yeah.
to it. Like every character is well defined in Lady and the Tramp. Um, you
So
understand, you know what all the characters in Cinderella or in Sleeping Beauty. Even the first half of this movie, like when Maleficent's not there, it's just sort of a vehicle for moving images. I mean, it's not like anything's really
yeah,
happening. No, there's no character development. You're not really moving towards the plot in any way because the only time that the plot comes back into play is when Maleficent is back in town and she finds Aurora. And and she has to be the person to bring the MacGuffin of
you,
this herself. Like,
you know what, JJ? You've convinced me.
uh oh,
I'm actually going to move it below Lady and the Tramp myself.
oh, see,
I am going to actually, because you make some valid points. I think I'm going to also.
so for us, so now it's six for both
Cool.
of us.
Yeah, and I've not done that, and I've tried to. I don't want to make a habit of doing that, but you made some salient points, and I think I agree.
Yeah, I think that's a fair place for it. So in this sense, you like it less than Lady and the Tramp, but more
I,
than Peter Pan. In this,
yes,
and for
yes,
me,
yes.
it's I like it less than Lady and the Tramp, but more than Pinocchio.
Okay.
So that seems fair. That seems about where I would have it for me,
Yeah.
and it's better than uh, uh, Three Caballeros and Ciudad Amigos for eternity.
enjoy jerking the curtain forever.
Yeah, we are going to. I'm going to mention how bad those movies are every single
Every week. Every week we do this, we're gonna throw
yeah.
massive shade at those two movies.
So bad. They're so
Now they might. I'm not saying they're not gonna. They may not stay there forever. They
bad.
might, but they got some strong contenders to the throne.
Yeah, there's a couple in a handful of episodes that like what? And I know when we get deep into the archive, into the Disney vault, um, they become some strong contenders. But we'll
I
see. We'll
There's
see.
one movie I had to put personal bias aside for that where I want to rank it lower than it should be.
We'll talk about it off air.
Yeah. Or in what 30 weeks or so, maybe 25 weeks or so.
So stay tuned for our Meet the Robinsons episode where
Yep. It's an hour of me dunking on Atlantis.
but until then,
Mm,
I want to thank you all for joining us again. This has been fun. I also want to just complain the fact that the Three Caballeros and Sweetest Amigos episodes are like our most downloaded episodes, and it upsets me greatly. um,
because
like,
we're unhappy the
yeah,
entire time.
But to be fair, I think our most popular episode has been the Christmas episode. So the one
I
that's
mean,
a non sequitur that has no tie-in to the typical ranking system that we're doing here, but it's Christmas. People love Christmas. You can't.
well, and I would argue, like, out of all of our episodes, and you might disagree, that I think we had the most like joy doing
Yeah, yeah,
just talking about
absolutely. I
them.
think like because like the first 3 or 4 episodes of this were just like yeah, and then it's like gets increasingly more
Well,
bitter. But like we've sprung back because we've had some great movies in recent times,
yeah,
and we're gonna have some more good movies coming up. Um, so you know,
and some of it's also us. Just we're still pretty new to this. We're still trying to find our hit our
yeah.
stride. So
And there's gonna
it,
be some more like the Christmas episode. There's gonna be more
mm,
like side episodes we're working on.
yes,
Because there are some things like I have plans for what to do after we're um, done ranking all of going over all of these movies because eventually we're going to reach the end of the list,
right.
and obviously the list will always be added to because every few years or so they're putting in a new movie. So by the time
We're
we're
gonna rank
done,
the Herbie movies.
yeah. So by the time we get to the end, like Frozen 2 will be hitting theaters, so
Yeah,
things like that. So eventually, like there's a definite ending, and eventually we're gonna have to move on to something else or just walk away from it. And we gotta
yeah.
and I want to move on. So there's some things, and some things just won't fit into what some of the ideas are. Like it will be fun to talk about some live action stuff, but you can't really go through everything that Disney does because it's weird and some things that does this count? Does this not count? Like
Yeah,
it's like yeah, we could talk about the black hole or Treasure Island, but we can also talk about some other weird obscure stuff. And I know we would like to talk about 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea or
yeah.
something at some point, but like it doesn't fit into any of the ideas that I have. So that's where the annex episodes, like the Christmas one, will come into and stuff. So
But if there's anything you want us to talk about,
oh yeah,
please let us know. Like,
yeah, but
if you're really jonesing for us to talk about the Devil and Max Devlin, please.
yeah, if Mr. Boogedy is something
Boogity.
is something that you're really interested in, like yeah, I mean like there's some stuff rolling. I'm working on some things right now. Um,
Or like some of like maybe if you're interested in us covering some of the uh direct to direct to video sequels,
yeah,
let us know.
yeah. I mean, and eventually we're gonna have to some of them like I think it only makes sense once we get to Aladdin to record a separate episode of Aladdin because the Aladdin had some of the more interesting sequels or
Yes.
so it only makes sense to follow up with that in a more full full featured episode than just mentioning it in passing, like we will with some of the other ones, like Lady and the Tramp 2, or um, even the Lion King stuff. We'll mention like in passing because Lion King 1.5 is a particularly interesting movie to talk about full length. But I think the Aladdin stuff,
Yeah.
there's lots of interesting stuff to go with some of that stuff.
We're not gonna
Yeah,
deep dive on Belle's Magical Christmas.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, there are some exceptions to the rule, obviously, but so when we get there, we get there. We're still kind of a ways away from any of
we
that sort of stuff because
we got a
Disney,
lot of ground to cover.
yeah, got a lot of ground to cover for that. Like Jungle Book is only going to be in a few weeks at this point, and we're not going to talk about Jungle Book too much. Like
No.
yeah, but again, maybe sometime down the road for just needs content or we get a wild hair up our butts, maybe. But for the most part, I have some ideas. We're gonna pick occasionally something that we want to talk about. It's maybe something somebody said, "Hey, you should talk about this" or something. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's all right. But until then, next week we'll be covering 101 Dalmatians, which that'll be fun. That's
Yeah.
that's there's a lot to talk about with 101 Dalmatians, just from a pure movie standpoint, like not even the production stuff, but just like the movie itself. I feel like there's a lot of fun to have with that movie. So I look
And a
forward to
lot
that.
of and a lot of Simpsons references next
A lot
week.
of Simpsons references. We will probably end up singing the entirety of "See My Vest." Uh, Uh, if so, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't put it past us. So,
Yeah,
but until then, again, thank you so much for joining us, Nick. Thank you for joining me again.
my pleasure.
And you know what? Have a magical day.
Bye.